Hello guys, welcome to the channel. So in this video, we're going to dive into things that I wish I knew before moving to Ghana. The challenges that I had to go through thinking about moving to Ghana and what I have realized too being here on the ground. I wish to share this with you. Hopefully it can help you on your journey. So let's dive into it. I'm not going to dive into all the things that I wish I knew down here right away. I have to take you back to where it all started from. And that was in New York, right? The idea of me coming to Ghana was actually implanted in my head by not a Ghanaian, a white person who spotted an opportunity here on the motherland that you can make a lot of money. I was, again, ignorant to this. So I want you guys to understand, both people in the diaspora and people on the ground, that every nation, whether you are in America, UK, there are pros and cons. This is something that we don't think of, right? There are people here in Ghana who are making a lot of money. There are people in America who are making a lot of money. There are people here who are working for other people, they are making money. There are people who are working for other people in America, they are making money. There are pros and cons. So you cannot deem a country to be bad totally or good totally, right? If you go to America, you might make it, but you're sacrificing something. Every place has its pros and cons. Not just me, but universally. If you live in America, UK, Germany, wherever you find yourself in as a diasporan, and you choose to come back home to the motherland, people look at it as the greatest sin. Literally. You'll be ridiculed. They will discourage you. They will think you are crazy. And during these times, my friends, it can be very difficult when nobody is supporting your vision. And I have a special thanks for my wife for being with me on this journey, believing that I can make it happen from the jump because everybody else thought I was crazy. I would have been working for KPMG US by now. I would have been on my fifth year because I started working for them in 2020. I only lasted there for 2 months though. But if I would have went through that path, my life wouldn't have been as exciting as it is now. I would definitely be making less money, paying more taxes, and having less impact and definitely unhappy because I had bigger goals. I wanted to make impact. I wanted to do something that I can see the result. And being a cog in that big wheel at KPMG was not going to be fulfilling. But this is what other people who will be talking down on your dreams and aspiration, they might not see it. And you yourself during those times, you are not certain. So having all those negative doubters, and it's usually your own people, right? People who are from Ghana. I mean, if you're a Nigerian going back to Nigeria, it's your own people that would think you are crazy because for whatever reason, they've been programmed for all these years. They look at wherever they are as is the worst place that you can possibly be. But I don't want to jump the gun here, but being here on the ground, I've realized that the people who are actually making good money and living the life are foreigners who've packed up their bags and moved to the country that we all despise and leave to go slave in another man's country. They are here making money, and you go to these nice restaurants. As me and my wife, every weekend we go to a nice restaurant, and you see there are a lot of foreigners in the country, and they are enjoying life. The system have brainwashed us to run and go, live these unhappy lives, and then they are down here making money and enjoying lives in the peace and the calm they are enjoying here on our country. That's the reality on the ground. For whatever reason, I had this deep sense of calling inside of me. I don't know where it came from because being in America, I mean, other people have stories, but I never lacked. Shout out to my father and my mother. They set me up. I had a nice place to stay. I went there when I was young, so I was able to go through the proper education. And I joined the military, US Navy to be exact, only at the age of 18. And when you come out as a vet, right, you do have some privileges, right? Because, being black in America, you know how it is. You might have, but just being in the military kind of elevates you to another level, right? You have some sort of privilege, right? By being a veteran. That's somebody who has served in the Navy before. So my life really was on the good path. People would say they work multiple jobs and they would struggle. I never went through that. I was okay. My life was pretty good, like averagely good. Until I hit it big in the stock market, which is definitely exception to the rule. It's not the norm, right? But my day-to-day living, working for someone, being employed, I was a normal middle-class person. I didn't have any crazy struggles for me to want to come to Ghana. What made me want to come to Ghana was a deep sense of calling. And I thought I was coming down here to open a gym. I didn't know what was really going to transpire. And we're going to get into that later. All I knew was deep inside of me, I felt like the inner voice was calling me to come home. And I was just dissatisfied with my state of being in America. Around that time, I actually had made a lot of money as well in America. Before this happened, I had decided to come to Ghana already. It was in the process of me building my house in Ghana that led me to make this money in the stock market. But during those times, I felt really empty inside. And it's like something was pulling me to come to Ghana. Literally, like something was pulling me to come to Ghana. I was just genuinely unhappy in America. I don't know why. That was never the case. I mean, when I went to America, the first year was a bit difficult because I grew up in Ghana and I had a sense of freedom and just roaming about. And I went to an apartment in New York. My father was pretty strict on us and we couldn't go out, and I hated it for like a year or two. And I got used to the system. And ever since, I never really hated America or had, yes, I've encountered, being at a gunpoint with the police and all that stuff. But that's not the reason why I came to Ghana. The reason why I came to Ghana was a deep sense of calling and a sense of unbelonging in America. I felt like I didn't belong there, like I don't have to be there. And I can't pinpoint to a series of events that happened for me to feel that way. It was just an idea of me coming to Ghana and doing something. And it was me coming here to build a gym. That was initially the plan, but it has translated to other things which we're going to get into later. But what I did know was I felt a deep sense of calling to the motherland. And I was just unhappy. And I'm glad I listened. Honestly, if I didn't listen, I don't know what would have happened. But people who are not in your head, people who are not you, will be doubting you. They'll be calling you stupid. It's not going to be easy. But it's not just a move of trying to come to Ghana. Whether, you live in the West, whether you live in Ghana, you're trying to start something new, like trying to start a business instead of going for the norm, going for a job what everybody else is, doing. A lot of people might think you're crazy. But that's okay. That's okay. You know what you feel inside of your heart, and you must follow that. One thing that I didn't know could happen is that so much opposition from your own people for just wanting to come back home. They think you are living the best that you could have had in America, UK, wherever you are, and you want to come to Ghana. Like, what's wrong with you? And don't get me wrong. I had just graduated with my master's degree in accounting, and I had secured a job with KPMG. To make the matters worse, you can tell every African parent would be very proud of their son for accomplishing this feat. It's a nice story. It's a big title to tell your friends that they are doing this. So they are not going to be happy with you leaving all that behind to come to the unknown here in Ghana where the struggle is. And a lot of time, our parents or certain people, when they leave the motherland and they go, it's out of desperation. Right? Things were a bit difficult for them and they moved. So they haven't really seen the other side. So you cannot blame them. But we live in a new age. Ghana is not where it was 20 years ago, 19 years ago. Ghana is not where it was 4,000 years ago, right? If you know history, you will know that a lot of these misconceptions and stuff is just the industrial revolution that we did not catch up or keep up with the Joneses that left Africans behind. But that wasn't always the case if you know your story. We are great people. We've always had everything. That's why people fight over whatever we have. It's such a small country, second largest producer of cocoa, such a small country. We are a wealthy nation. We just need to get our affairs together. But you as an individual, not even getting on the governmental level, you as an individual, you can carve your own niche. You can find something to do that will bring you income. And we're going to dive into that. So I'm going to come to Ghana. I landed in Ghana. Few things that I wish I knew before coming. You need to come with humility. Don't think that you are coming from the UK, US, so you know it all. You're about to come and kill the game. That's not the case. You're in a whole different terrain. You need to take it easy. Like a baby who's trying to walk. You need to take it easy. What I do on this channel is basically share my mistakes and a little bit of my success so you can learn, so that you can get a lesson without the scar. Now, mistake I made is when I came to Ghana, I was fortunate. I came with a little bit of money to do my own thing, which is this mini more than I'm now about to tackle. I had the money to do everything, but I shouldn't have taken that route. Why? Because you guys know what happened. I bought the land, I went big, and right away, Spent like $100,000 and then I ended up in court. And then my source of income was trading the stock market. I had some challenges, lost all the money, and I almost went back. If you come in running and you pour a lot of money into something that doesn't go well, oftentimes it will knock most people out. And the stress and the agony that comes with it, most people don't have the mental fortitude to withstand the pain, and they will go back and they will never touch Ghana again. They don't want to hear Ghana again. They will say it didn't work. So no matter how much money you have, when you come, take it easy and understand the terrain, because it's a whole different terrain, my friends. Another lesson is I didn't realize that there will be so many foreigners in this country making so much money. I didn't know that Melcom was owned by foreigners. I didn't know that all these big companies are owned by foreigners for the most part. The nation that we claim has nothing, other people leave the same country that we run to come down here and make a killing. Why is that? That tells me that we have to work on our mindsets. Or maybe we are just blind to the opportunities that lies before us. Another thing that I wish I knew is that whatever plan you think you are coming down here to do, it might change. Another reason why you should start with baby steps, because I was coming down here, first of all, to build gyms. It's the main reason why I came down here to Ghana. But when I got here, I went through a lot of issues that led me to land, that led me to real estate, and now that is what I do. Welcome to Afenya. A plot of land in Afenya is 85,000 Ghana cedis. I've been selling land to a lot of people. Most of the houses in the walls that you see on this video are the people that bought land from me. We still have plenty of land available for you. And if you're interested, our link is in this very video and in the description below. Reach out to us so we can talk. Afenya is less than an hour away from Accra, and they are doubling the road, so the distance will be even shorter when it's done. Pram Pram. Now, Pram Pram is well sought after due to its proximity to the beach. People love the beach fronts and the beach vibe in Pram Pram. Now, Pram Pram is not too far away from the main city, which is Accra. Less than an hour drive, you are in Accra, and they are doubling the main Tema Adan Road. When that's done, the distance will be even shorter. We also have land here going for 85,000 Ghana cedis per plot. Remember, I mentioned earlier that I had this deep sense of calling to the motherland. I thought I was coming to build gyms, but no. There was a bigger plan for the boy. The reason I'm saying that is because I haven't built a gym yet, and I'm going to do it. I don't see myself being as fulfilled at opening a gym as I am now. And this only happened because of my ordeal. Going through the legal battles with my land, learning a lot about the land system in Ghana, making the right connections, and people coming to me as a result. I probably wouldn't have ended up on YouTube if everything would have went my way. When I came down here to Ghana, I had enough money to buy this land, build that mini mall, and operate it with my gym. I would have been okay. Bringing in my 300K, 250, 400K every year, USD, well projected. I was going to have no business coming on YouTube. But because things went sideways and I was bored, I came on YouTube, plus my experience in land, it led me to something else. So that's why I'm saying you should take it easy, because God had a calling for me. And that calling is to help more people in the diaspora come home safely. And the reason why that became a calling, I didn't know this. I couldn't have known this, but I wish I knew though, because I would have played my cards a bit differently because I came with money. But I am on the path that I'm supposed to be, precisely with the pain and everything. It just made the story nicer. Now, I think my true calling now is to help people in the diaspora acquire land, build houses, come back home, employ people, whatever business they end up setting, or even just, having a house help that they will help live with them, feed them, and then subsequently they might take care of them to go to school or learn a trade or something. It's a deal that people have with these house helps most of the time now. Even just one person, you've made an impact in somebody's life. You might teach them a thing or two with the values that you know. That's how I look at it. You might impact one or two people. They will go on in turn, like 10, 20, 30 years later, they will go and impact somebody else. And that's how we're going to get better as a nation. So I take deep pride in helping people secure their land and building houses. That brings me to Russian properties, which is a lot of detours that led me to who I am now. That was not predicted. What was predicted was me coming down here in Ghana building my gyms. But what I realized is now I'm building a whole gated community. Can you believe that? There will be detours. If I wasn't mentally strong enough to withstand the pain, the initial pain, the shock, buying that land and ended up in court for 2 years, that agony. If I wasn't strong enough to withstand it, I would have left and I would have never realized this. That's what I'm saying. Take it easy. Hypothetically speaking, let's say I came in with like 700K. If I would have dropped like just $10,000 into something and I lost it, I would have just moved on to another thing. Again, the pain would have been so intense. That's what I'm saying, take baby steps. But again, I think in theory, or how things unfolded, I could have only gone this way with how things went. Because if not, I would have been doing something else. I would have poured money into more things. I just had to lose everything. So in as much as you have your plans, you do not know the terrain yet. Another thing that's, I came to realize is bribery and corruption is really a thing. And I've learned this through the business I do. Okay, you can end up at a police station knowing for sure this land is yours. With all the documentation. What will happen there will be different. So you have to learn how to play your cards right. And I'm not going to say much because this is public. You have to know how to play your cards right. Just because the land is yours, just because you have the right documents, don't think the law is just about to run its course without you knowing a few ropes and how to tackle things, because things can go against you even when you are right. I would say this is not a positive, but it's something that you have to be aware of if you want to do business down here. Until things change, this is the reality on the ground. Another thing that I wish I knew was the insane bank fees, especially if you're collecting foreign currency from abroad. It used to be 3.5% that the bank would charge you to withdraw that money. So let's say you send me $1 million. Like I have 4 different projects, $250,000 each. I get $1 million for the year. The bank is taking $35,000 out before anything. Before I get to spend a dime. Before the money comes out of the bank, that's how much I got to pay. And they just increased it to 6.5%. Some banks are charging 7.5%. So that 35 is now $75,000. The government is trying to use that to discourage people from transacting in dollars and euros and all these things, because after all, we are in Ghana and we must spend cedis. I'm saying all of this not to complain. I'm saying all of this to let you know that my accounting background, in as much as I did not use it for working for KPMG, it has been very, very, very beneficial to me, because doing business in Ghana, you have to be savvy. So all this extra fees and this, I know how to navigate the system by just doing simple maths on everything and knowing the best route to take so that it doesn't affect your business. So you can't just operate, right? Let's say I was in America, I'm operating a business, money touches my account, I take it out, I spend it, I move on. There's no currency fluctuations, blah, blah, none of that. When you come to Ghana, best believe, unless your business is purely local, then you have nothing to worry about. Purely local, right? You're a market woman and you buy all your stuff locally. You're not importing anything. But if you're importing things and exporting things, you have to be savvy. You have to know about forex. You have to know about where the currency is going and all that stuff, and know how to peg, and you become savvy in that arena. Another thing that you need to be aware of is you're going to have to build wealth organically here in Ghana. What do I mean by that? Let's say I was in America, right? I, again, served in the US Navy. So I'm entitled to something known as a VA loan. Now, when I bring you guys a little bit back, if you're in America and you're buying a house, the average person, I would say 99% of the people, even people with money, go for the mortgage because the interest rate is so low. It makes sense. But you are tied down for 30 years. Okay, there's a benefit that I had. When I moved to Ghana, shout out to my wife, again, for believing in me and being on my side. I was pretty young. The idea clicked when I was about 25. 27, I was here in Ghana. So I didn't have any kids. I didn't have any mortgage. My car was completely paid off at the time. And we're going to dive into that. So I didn't have anything that was tying me down in America, UK, wherever. A lot of people, they would love to move back here in Ghana, but they can't do it. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. They have a lot of entanglements. Mortgage, that if they sell the house right now, most of them, they might owe car notes. Some people are on 7 years car notes. The car they are driving, the car, the moment you take it out of the parking lot, it depreciates in value drastically, and they cannot sell it to make a profit. So they are stuck with it. There's a lot of credit cards debt. Some people have child support. When you come to Ghana trying to figure things out, you're going to let all these things hang over your head. They can't do it. So a lot of people are just stuck. Not because they love it there. They just cannot do it. And luckily for me, I didn't have any of these. I was a free bird. And that's why I made it imperative to own my primary home in Ghana, my friends. That's another insight. In theory, this is how I planned. that if I own my house, set up a little bit of residual income, whether that's $1,000 a month, that I'm going to get every month no matter what, while I'm in Ghana, then I've made myself failure proof. Because if all fails, at least I'm living for free in a very nice house. $1,000 is more than enough for me to get by in Ghana if I own my house. Now, I realize that if you are here, the reason why I'm telling you about all of this is if you're here in Ghana, everything has to be organically. I bought my car out of pocket. So if I went ahead and bought that $75,000 car out of pocket and I had $75,000 and I used all of it to buy the car, I'm a bit stupid. That wasn't the case. I was balling. It was 10% of my cash at the time. So I bought what I can afford. Let's flip it back. When I was in America, at the age of 19, I bought my first car. It was Infiniti G37X. I remember I loved that car. My first car. I like buying my cars brand new so that there's no issues. I don't know much about cars. I don't want my cars breaking down. So I don't mind buying cars that's like less than 5,000 miles or brand new. I don't want issues. That's just my theory. I bought a brand new car, okay, but it was financed. I had to pay that car off in 6 years, although I smartly paid the car off in 3 years. And then I was driving it since I was 19 until I was 25 is when I sold it, or 26, right? So about 7 years I was driving the car. Never broke down, nothing. Ghana has taught me something that if I'm to go back to America right now to live, I will still operate like I'm in Ghana because it gives you a lot of peace of mind. And it makes you cut your coat according to your size. That's an African proverb. You cannot afford what you cannot afford because there is no loan to save you. Over here, when you see somebody living in a house, for the most part, they built it out of pocket for years, or they bought it out of pocket. Okay, my house that I live in right now was purely built out of pocket, no loan on it. The car I drive is completely paid off, cash. Okay, I don't owe anybody anything. So if I'm to take you back to when I first bought my first car, when I financed it, I had $30,000 to my name at the time, 19. And my car was like $38,000 after taxes and all that. I put $10,000 towards my first payment. Now my interest rate was pretty good on this because my credit score was in the 800s. I was a pretty good citizen, average middle class, good citizen, paying his credit card on. I was doing very well on a middle class scale. But if I had the discipline of buying what I can afford, I probably would have bought a $15,000 car, $10,000 car, and not make those, interest payments and all that, though my interest was very low. This is a tip for you, financial tip. I had the money, but what I did was I bought a car, and this was a 19-year-old. Instead of me putting the money down as a down payment, taking a rest on the finance, right? I didn't do it. That's what I did. I went in as I had nothing. I financed the whole $38,000. And before the interest even started, I paid $10,000. It took me about 2 years payment in. So now I control the game. I'm 2 years ahead of my payment. I kept paying, but if stuff hits the fan, there are a lot of people who have these monthly payments, and if something goes wrong, they are crushed. I never wanted to put myself in that position. That's why I did that. I put $10,000 down, and I was 2 years in advance in my payment, and I finished paying the car off in 3 years instead of 6. In as much as that was smart, it would have been smarter to just pay everything upfront, which means I couldn't have afforded that car at the time. If I holding on to $30,000, maybe I could have afforded $10,000 car or 15 or 5 out of pocket. Now, that's the lesson that I've learned here in Ghana, because whatever I have is out of pocket. My car wash, out of pocket. Everything I'm doing is out of pocket. There's no bank involved because the interest rate is crazy, and what you have to go through, the physical to make sure you are alive and well, and all the stuff that you have to do to get a loan, and the crazy interest rate on top of it, it is not worth it to me at all. So you are forced to build organically. My neighbor to my right, my neighbor to my left, two down the line, they all own their houses out of pocket. My American mind, okay, a little tip here, my American mind and how I've become a Ghanaian, my Ghanaian mind right now, and my American mind is totally different. This forces you to not get rich quick here in Ghana. Most people make their money in Ghana like after 40 or something, because you have to be diligent and build your wealth organically. Whereas in America, you can have some sort of leverage. And if you are smart and financially savvy and sophisticated, you can basically parlay and use the leverage of the credit system to advantage. It crushes some people, and some people make a killing through it, right? But you don't have that here. So everything has to be progressively and organically. You have to grow with your profit, reinvest it. So when I was in America building this house, my American brain was looking for a loan. Like, how do I build this house? Because I wasn't rich. When I started this house, I think I had about $15,000 in my name when I started. The rest was history through my hunger for learn about how to make money, I ended up in the stock market and I was able to do this in a year and a half. The first thing I did was I went to try to use my VA loan, which I was entitled to, 0% down. If I were to buy a house in America, 0% down my first house, I would just have to maybe pay the closing fees and all of that out of pocket, but 0% down as compared to the ordinary American. Mine is a veteran benefit. I was hoping I can tap into that to come and build this house in Ghana. Can you believe that? I would have been paying the loan off right now. I wouldn't have had the hunger to go look for money for me to be able to pay this out of pocket. And if I would have went for that loan, then best believe when I came down to here in Ghana and I went through that ordeal, I would have lost the home if it was on a mortgage because your man didn't have it. You see? So this is where the peace of mind comes from. Another insight why Ghanaians are basically at peace, there's not a lot of stress and depression here, is because they don't have a lot of debt. Debt weighs on you, can be really heavy on you if you have debt. And I tell a lot of people, the stats is there for you. 80% of Americans cannot give you $400 emergency, right? Out of what they have budgeted for the month, if you ask them for $400 out of nowhere, they don't have it. The phone is on credit, the car is on credit, the house is on credit. And when you do the math, asset minus liabilities, every neighbor that I have in the neighborhood is richer than America that you know. This is the reality on the ground. You are forced to build wealth and you just have to be patient. That's the issue. If you are impatient, then you would think that, things are not good or things are not going well down here because you are impatient. You need patience here. Build slowly and take your time. I just finished paying off my office building and I'm about to finish it. It was about 75% completed. When I bought it, I went in with a payment plan. I've been paying it off for the past 5 months. I just finished and I'm about to take over. Guess what? I don't owe anybody. I had to buy this out of pocket. I have learned and accepted and have devised ways to acquire assets out of pocket, slowly, deliberately, and that gives you a lot of peace of mind. Believe it or not, I prefer this system. That's an insight that I got into, that loan is not an option. I'll raise money. I'll raise money as far as giving people ownership like I'm doing with La Vie, which is this mini mall that we are building for the gyms and all that. I'll raise money, give people a percentage. But loans in itself, really not a big fan of it anymore. Not a big fan of it. Another thing that I learned is if you were in Ghana here, right? I lost my citizenship. My passport had expired when I was in America. As a Ghanaian, when I was first leaving Ghana to go to America, I had stayed more than 60 days. And I was questioned at the airport that I had stayed more than I was allowed to. And I said, what nonsense is this? But I had my Ghana passport. I did it while I was down here. But they said I should have entered with my Ghanaian passport. I entered with American passport. So I figured my way out and I settled that. But that's for you to know. If you don't know, you think, you were born in Ghana, so you can just move in. When you come in, you got to get your passport immediately because legally, you are supposed to be here for 2 months tops and you have to go back. Or you got to get a resident permit. Or if you're a citizen, go get your citizenship. That's a tip for you. I didn't know that until I was leaving the country. Ghana has so many opportunities. People talk about it, but it's here. My wife actually just started a clothing line. It is doing well. She started very small. She's actually very good at starting small than I am. Because when she started, I'm like, why don't you get 10 outfits to start off? She said, no, I'm going to get 4. Let's see how it goes. She sold the 4, she doubled it. And now, she started very small. She's done this before in New York, right? My wife actually started basically braiding salon from our apartment. Very small. Until she moved into the studio and she was making 6 figures doing that, right? You don't have to come with a lot of money to start something. You just identify an opportunity and be diligent and start small. There are a lot of opportunities and low entry barrier and less bureaucracy. If you want to be a farmer in America, it might require a lot more to be a farmer and way less here to start in Ghana. It's a lot of things you can dive into with the little you have. If you start small, you have room to make mistakes. That's not going to be devastating to you. That is a concept that I've taken on myself to take it easy, start small, and I use it. Even at this level, I rush in properties where we sell land and build houses for a lot of people. If I'm tackling new portions of land, I'm going very slowly, right? Because the land terrain in Ghana is a bit scary and you do not want to get complacent. You don't want to get cocky. So as much as we in the game, when I go to a new location, I move slow just to test the market before I go big. In a nutshell, being in Ghana has made me wealthier, with less stress, life is just so much better. I feel calm. I feel a sense of belonging despite our terrible roads, which is going to get fixed in the future. And I want to be a part of it. I feel a deep sense of fulfillment in the work I do, which is selling land and building for people. A deep sense of fulfillment that I would have never gotten at KPMG. Never. So, as much as I'm doing very well for myself now financially, than I would have been working for KPMG, I would have been still grateful if I was making less than I would have made in KPMG. I'm a military guy, so I wake up in the morning, I work out, do the whole thing, but I don't have to. I don't have to do any of that. My clients call me and they thank me. I wasn't going to get that. I have real human interactions. If you have that goal, you have that plan, you want to move, you are confused, do what's best for you. And you're never going to figure it out until you are down here. I looked at it as worst case scenario, you can always go back, right? But just be positive. When I came in here, again, I came in by making this big investment in this house because if I was renting again, it was easy for me to leave. I just wanted to make it so unreasonable for me to leave. If I was renting, my friend, I would have loved to go back to America. I hold a master's degree in accounting. I have KPMG. I can go back, easily land some job. That would be paying me $80,000, $100,000 a year and then build my way up from there. So I would have run back. But I burned all bridges. And I made sure that the bridge that I built on the other side was big, which is my house. It didn't make sense for me to leave and go rent a one-bedroom apartment for more than $2,000 and leave this big, beautiful house for a caretaker to stay in, bringing their little girlfriends when I'm not here with my hard-earned money. Just the thought of that crushed my soul, and I wasn't going to leave that. I wasn't going to let that happen. So when you are planning, make it uncomfortable, okay? All the big achievers, the entrepreneurs, they burn the bridges. They make it uncomfortable. There's no way of going back because Ghana is not easy when you're starting out. There's a lot of opportunities, but you will be faced with challenges. And if the going back is so easy because you've had some cushion and plan B, you run back. No plan B for me. Plan A, plan B, it was all the same. Make it here in Ghana. Or I'm going to leave this beautiful house. And I have bought a beautiful car as well with a fridge in it. I'm going to leave it, or I could have sold the car. And go back to New York. Nah, that wasn't going to happen. Somebody was going to be enjoying my house. And this house helps. They will even go to your master's bedroom. No, I wasn't going to do it. And I thank God that I stayed the course. And here we are today. So these are the lessons I have for you. If you want to move to the motherland, plan carefully, ignore the naysayers, build your base, which is your house, and adopt the mindset that you cut your coat according to your size. The car you buy is out of pocket. You can only afford what you can pay for out of pocket. Patience and understanding what the Romans do when you are in Rome.